years. Channing Dungey was working her way up in executive jobs in show business. She joined ABC in 2004 as a vice president overseeing development of drama series. Channing Dungey became the president of ABC Entertainment 2.5 years ago. And as her ABC official bio proudly states, Dungey has shepherded in a wide variety of successful programming, including the most watched show on television, Roseanne. Knowing TV networks as I do, especially in the entertainment division, I expected ABC to try to tough it out today and survive the crisis Roseanne created because the show's ratings are so good. When Roseanne tweeted this apology, I immediately said that this was a network-forced apology using language that Roseanne herself would never use. Here it is. I apologize to Valerie Jarrett and to all Americans. I am truly sorry for making a bad joke about her politics and her looks. I should have known better. Forgive me. My joke was in bad taste. That tweet sounded to me like the network was desperately trying to save its top-rated show, but I don't know Channing Dungey. Never worked with her. And turns out she wasn't trying to save Roseanne. This afternoon, Channing Dungey, who does not tweet, released this statement. Roseanne's Twitter statement is abhorrent, repugnant, and inconsistent with our values, and we have decided to cancel her show. At his rally tonight, this time, Donald Trump did not say one word about Roseanne. Joining our discussion now, Jamil Smith, senior writer for Rolling Stone, joining us from Los Angeles, and Jason Johnson is back with us. And Jamil, this story moved faster than many in show business expected it to. I think people were waiting to watch ABC try to get through a day or two and maybe even a week or two with this, but it turned very quickly on Roseanne.
Yes, I mean, we've been exposed to the NFL's corporate cowardice recently, and certainly I think a lot of us expected that ABC would either stay silent or simply discipline her, maybe suspend her, what have you. But it is a relief to see that there are, in fact, social consequences for these kinds of statements. They hired her knowing that she was a conspiracy theorist on Twitter. They hired her knowing about her anti-Semitic and racist statements and Islamophobic statements, and they wrote it out this long. And I think when you get to the old school racist term ape, I think that may be a bridge too far for anyone.
Let's listen to what Valerie Jarrett said about this on MSNBC tonight.
Oh my God.
I think we have to turn it into a teaching moment. I'm fine. I'm worried about all the people out there who don't have a circle of friends and followers who come right to their defense.
Jason Johnson, Valerie Jarrett handled it very graciously tonight on MSNBC.
Yeah, she's a better woman than I am. Because, look, it was disgusting. It was unreasonable. And I think we live in a wonderful country where there are gracious, kind people who can be attacked on a regular basis and can say fine things in response. But I think that what Roseanne did,
like President Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama,
problematic. And that's what we need to speak about. Yes, it's great that Channing Dungey fired her now. You hired her, just like Jamil said, knowing that this is the kind of behavior she had. Who knows how she was possibly behaving on set? And we have to think about, in a larger structural way, we talk about notions of racism and institutional racism and privilege. Think about this. All Roseanne had to do to keep her job is not compare a black woman to an ape.
Absolutely.
And she couldn't do that. She couldn't even do that.
I have to say, Roseanne looks better than she used to. She looks good.
A reasonable level
Bad
of
mouth.
control, but they can't go back to 500-year-old stereotypes about race. So I hope this isn't just a lesson for Roseanne Barr. I hope this is a lesson for ABC. I hope this is a lesson for every single other entertainment network out there, that this behavior is inappropriate. It will cost you money. It will cost you a reputation.
Roseanne, I can't believe you said that. Oh my
That's what people get out of this,
God.
not just some sort of free speech argument.
What's wrong with people?
Jamil, Donald Trump, after the first episode aired this year and got a huge rating, Donald Trump told his rally audience, as we just saw, that it was about us, that the show was about us. He didn't have any words about the show tonight.
That is a really interesting statement coming from him, and I think it actually qualifies as a lie, because the median income for Trump voters in no matter what income bracket you look at, was higher than the median income for Clinton voters. If you're looking at folks making $50,000 to $100,000, the median income was 72 for Trump voters, 61,000 for Clinton voters. So if we want to talk about us, we've already been talking about Clinton voters, and it's funny that they hired Roseanne to essentially, stereotype his people and make fun of them.
And Jason, when you look at a lot of Roseanne's tweets prior to today with the conspiracy theories and really strange information, she seems to be using a lot of the same news sources that Donald Trump uses.
Right. Saying that George Soros was a Nazi collaborator, comparing Susan Rice, to an ape as well. I mean, she sort of trafficked in the same kind of nonsense that the president regular traffics in the conspiracy theories. And again, I think there was a mistake on behalf of the people who hired her and brought this back, thinking that, well, this must represent where America is moving. This must represent what a lot of Americans feel. And that's not true. The vast majority of Americans aren't conspiracy nuts. And I think for the last couple of years, people have become very comfortable with what is said on Duck Dynasty and what's said by certain celebrities.
She does look good, though. I have to give her that.
America is changing. And this is not what the American consumer wants to see. And I think that the quick response of firing Roseanne so quickly is not just financial, but it's also a realization on the behalf of this network that, like, hey, this is a blue wave coming. America doesn't want this. They don't want this kind of behavior. They're not all conspiracy nuts.
That's right.
We shouldn't be promoting that on TV or coddling people who have those beliefs.
That's right.
Jamil, ABC knew that the questions about this were never going to go
Racism
away.
has no place.
Right. And I mean, to Jason's point,
in 2018
they not only knew,
and
but also
beyond.
they understood that
We are
was
fighting it,
potentially
and we want it out.
And so they've exploited this caricature.
So I don't care
And
who
I think,
you are.
Also, something else that Jason said.
If you
I think
spew
that
any racial
yes,
epithet,
most Americans are not
you're
conspiracy
out.
nuts.
We will
But
fight
we hired
you.
one as president. And what effect does that have on the viewing audience? What effect, frankly, does that even have on her castmates? There's a black child who was cast as her granddaughter in the show. Or a black woman, Wanda Sykes, who was a writer on the show. Does she think that they're apes too? It'd be one.
Well, she had no control over that.
Roseanne that question, but she blocked me on Twitter.
And Jason,
But she wasn't in charge. She had no control over that. If she was in charge, I guarantee you they wouldn't have been on that show.
When it had Donald Trump under contract for that show, because Donald Trump was attacking the president's birth certificate and lying about President Obama's birth for years while he was appearing as an entertainer on NBC. ABC showed zero tolerance for what Roseanne had to say today, and NBC showed total tolerance for everything that Donald Trump
cancel
said
his show
for
too.
years about the president's birth.
Yeah, it's always been strange. There seems to be this sort of nuclear force field bubble around Donald Trump's behavior that he is allowed to be offensive and sexist and vulgar, but the same behavior in other actors and actresses ends up costing people their jobs, whether you're talking about Roseanne or Harvey Weinstein or Jeffrey Tambor. That kind of abusive behavior and that kind of abusive or racist language ends up costing people jobs. I hope, since we only seem to have one Donald Trump at this particular point, I hope that, again, this ends up being a lesson that this sort of behavior doesn't continue. And I also think this, and this is something I think is really important to remember in the context of him or Cosby or anything else like that. Roseanne's selfishness has cost dozens of people their jobs. The key grips, the camera people, the food delivery folks, all of those people have lost their jobs at a hit show that was helping them feed their families because she couldn't control their bigotry. Yes, maybe the black daughter on her show will get adopted by Blackish. I'd watch that episode. It'd be funny, right? But most of the rest of those people are not going to have work. And I hope America realizes that bigotry is not just about making somebody feel bad. It costs money. It costs jobs. Sometimes it costs lives. We can't accept it anymore.
Jason Johnson and
Well,
Jamil Smith.
Kara sure did play a big role in this one, and she lost her job too.
On Roseanne's story and what it would have meant to ABC to keep the Roseanne show on the air, what it would have meant to every other actor working in every other ABC show, and what they would have had to say about it. We'll be right back.